Well, good morning. This is Pastor Jay coming to you from the Breezeway here at the church. And I have to tell you, I've been haunted by that video of George Floyd. It kept me up last night. And it's one of those things that we Christians struggle with. How are we to look at the authorities and when abuses like that happen? Well, there's actually a passage on this, I think, that can give us some guidance in how we think about it going forward. It's from Romans 13, and it seems to say one thing, but we have to be very, very careful. When I was in seminary, we learned that there's one word in there, or a couple of words in there, that really tell us what the passage is supposed to mean. So listen to this. This is Romans 13, verse 1. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those authorities that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Do you wish to have no fear of the authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive its approval. For it is God's servant for your good. But if you do what is wrong, you should be afraid. For the authority does not bear the sword in vain. It is the servant of God to execute wrath on the wrongdoer. That's Romans 13, verses 1 through 4. And it sounds as if any authority, any government that's set up is authorized by God, and so therefore you must obey. Does that mean Nazi Germany? Does that mean we have to cheer something like we saw the other day? Absolutely not. You notice there's a key phrase there in the fourth verse. It says, it is God's servant for your good. And that's the key. That's what we understand as Christians. There are great police officers out there. My brother's one. He's with the Florida Highway Patrol. They're great officers. They're doing the right thing. They're working long hours. They're keeping us safe. And that's the whole purpose of the authorities, of police force, of military, of so forth. And that's where, for you and me, we have to realize what their function is. And our job is to realize with that role of protecting all people, we need to call for reform when the authorities don't do that. So that's the way I see this. I see God working in two ways. He works through the law to control evil. He works through the gospel to change our hearts. And we need to hold the authorities accountable. When they do something like we saw in that video, which is obviously not for the good of George Floyd or for all people, we need to hold them accountable. But we also need to respect police officers and military who are doing the right thing, who are showing restraint and trying to protect us. So that's kind of the way I wrestle with it. It still doesn't sit well with me. It's still horrific. But that's the way I think about it. I think that way I can both respect great cops like my brother, and I can also call to task those who take their authority too far. So those are my thoughts for this morning, and I hope they're helpful to you. God bless you and have a great Monday.